9th, 1990, Sergeant Stacy Lim enjoyed a day off with friends. After stopping at the Northeast Station to look at her work assignment for the next evening, she headed home. Unbeknownst to Sergeant Lim, she was followed for 35 miles on the freeway by 4 gang members who intended to carjack her truck. The gang members had spent the entire evening looking for a victim to carjack, and they thought Sergeant Lim was an easy target since she was a lone female driver. Sergeant Lim parked in front of her house. Feeling as though she had been followed, she readied her 9mm service weapon. As she got out of her truck, the first thing Sergeant Lim saw was the barrel of a .357 Magnum. Instead of firing her service weapon at the advancing gang member, Sergeant Lim attempted to avoid deadly force by saying, "Police officer, drop the gun." As she said this, the gang member shot her in the chest from 5 feet away. The impact of the bullet knocked Sergeant Lim back. The bullet fragmented and nicked every organ in her upper body. It damaged her stomach, intestines, liver, it shattered her spleen, and put a hole in the base of her heart before exiting through the center of her back. Critically wounded, Sergeant Lim raised her gun and fired 1 round that struck the gang member. The gang member ran behind the truck and Sergeant Lim chased after him. The gang member pointed his gun at her. She fired 3 more rounds, striking him in the chest and neck. As he collapsed, he fired all his rounds up in the air. Sergeant Lim proceeded to the front of her vehicle where she dropped to one knee and prepared to engage additional suspects. After a short wait, Sergeant Lim walked toward the front door of her house and collapsed. Her 2 roommates rushed out to her aid and called paramedics. Sergeant Lim flatlined on the driveway until paramedics revived her. She was transported to a nearby hospital where she underwent a 2-hour surgery. While in intensive care, she flatlined a second time. She underwent another surgery where doctors cracked open her chest again and massaged her heart for 90 minutes as doctors prepared her family for her death. With her mother at her bedside, paying her last respects, Sergeant Lim responded to her mother's touch. That encouraged doctors to continue their efforts. Sergeant Lim came out of her coma 1 week later. 5 days after that, she walked out of the hospital on her own and returned to patrol duty 8 months later. For her courage, bravery, and will to survive, the Purple Heart is awarded to Sergeant Stacy Lim. On August 19th,